Gold is the colour in MLS this month for the 6th annual Kick Childhood Cancer campaign. And we have all the weekend's games covered as the regular season enters crunch time in the race for the playoffs. Our look back at the action begins at CenturyLink Field.
The Sounders and the Galaxy couldn't be separated 2 weeks earlier in LA.
Ship finds Rui Diaz and Seattle have their lead. Ibrahimovic! And there was never any doubt about that. There is a quite crazy gift of an equalising goal for Seattle.
With just a point between them in the West, could either take a decisive step towards the playoffs. Commentary comes from Adam Virgo and Dan Roebuck.
Pavon. Ibrahimovic! Good stop, Fry, got down well, didn't really have the power, but it was a precise effort.
Great little threaded through ball there from Pavon into Ibrahimovic. Just can't quite get enough power in his left foot to put it past Stefan Fry.
Roldan. Abdul Salam. Ladero. Must be! Rui Diaz! On hand, unmarked. Seattle, a goal to the good.
What a poor clearance that was from Gonzalez from the Galaxy's point of view. Just put it into Rosed. Ladero to Rui Diaz. Goal for the Sounders. And you can't afford Raul Rui Diaz time at that far post area.
Outswing a fair delivery. She's rolled down! He took a touch, it didn't matter. Arrowed into the corner. Seattle have got a second, 10 minutes into the second half.
The Galaxy are really struggling with set plays, and it's Gonzalez again. Doesn't do enough to close the shot down there from Roldan. David Bingham is really helpless trying to save that one across his goal.
Corona. Felcher. What a Galaxy made of here. Ibrahimovic lurks inside the area. Leggett has got forward as well. Antuna with a header! But he caught it well enough. Fry got his angle spot on.
Just couldn't quite put the header past Stefan Fry. What a chance that was for the Galaxy.
It's towards Ibrahimovic, who gets up between defenders and ahead of the keeper. And from absolutely nothing, Zlatan does what Zlatan does.
You have to question Stefan Fry in the goal. You come all the way that way, you have to get there, you have to punch it. And Ibrahimovic, yet again, has given the Galaxy another lifeline.
Palenta, Ibrahimovic, plenty of movement in front of the Swede. This is Felcher. Ibrahimovic wants it back, doesn't get it. Shot eventually fired in, might fall for Antuna here! Ricocheted around. Fry beaten. We're level at 2 apiece.
Well, what a second half from the Galaxy, you have to say. What a comeback from them. He's onside, Ibrahimovic doesn't know anything about it. A fair play to the youngster, Antuna. Finishes coolly past Stefan Fry, there's no offside.
And the Galaxy may be favourites to pick up all 3 points when it looked a lost cause. Monish is on the move, Rui Diaz with the layoff. This is Jordan Morris! Coolly done! Seattle back in front!
Just onside, isn't he? I think Skjelvik's played him on. Great little give and go there from Morris into Raul Rui Diaz, and he's through on goal. It's a good finish from him. Galaxy, for all the hard work they've done to get back into this game, again have let themselves down to the back.
Skjelvik on the move, in behind! Oh, what a finish! 3-3! Incredible!
Great little through ball there to the Norwegian. Sets himself brilliant. That's a great strike from him.
Goals that have come from both sides have been, well, marginal in terms of those offside calls, but I think all of them have been correct. Ladero curls it over to the far side, it's intercepted Araujo's first touch, though, isn't the best. This is Smith. Can he put the cross in? Oh, yes! Rolled in! 4-3, Seattle Sounders!
Galaxy have only got themselves to blame. Yet again, squandering leads, yet again, scoring goals but conceding more. Brilliant game of football. I knew there'd be one more chance, and it's fallen to the home side.
There were some nervy moments, but this team, again, those players in that locker room don't quit. A lot of teams might have, said, oh my God, yeah, they tied the game up. Now we go 3-2. They could have said, oh, we tied it again, 3-3. But this team keeps going.
Bob Bradley's LAFC have long since secured a playoff position, but they did have a season-long unbeaten home record in MLS to protect against Minnesota United. The hosts started in typically buoyant mood, with the absence of the league's leading scorer Carlos Vela initially appearing unproblematic. Eduard Atuesta tried his luck on Vito Manone's goal. But Vela's injury offered the chance for someone else to shine, just not in the colours of black and gold. Minnesota's Mason Toye initially collected the ball several yards inside his own half. Minimal danger, it seemed, until Toye then took a return pass from Jan Gregush and delivered a delicious finish to put the Loons into a first-half lead. The slick move picking LAFC apart. Toye earned a call-up to the US Under-23 team last week, and Minnesota's number 23 then conjured up another terrific strike just 4 minutes later to extend a lead that was barely believable for all involved. The visitors still needed their goalkeeper, Manone, to inflict a rare defeat on LAFC. This was one of 8 saves the Italian made as the defeated US Open Cup finalists responded in the most impressive manner possible.
Staying in sunny California, the San Jose Earthquakes were looking to put Orlando City in the shade at Avaya Stadium. Even with coach Matias Almeida serving an extension to his touchline ban, San Jose were unaffected by his absence. Magnus Eriksson's third-minute opener hinted at another productive night in their own backyard. Major League Soccer's all-time leading goal scorer Chris Wondolowski has been in good form of late, and after 20 minutes scored his third goal in 3 MLS starts to make it 2-0 to the Quakes. In the previous week's win over the Vancouver Whitecaps, San Jose mustered a record 43 shots, including 19 on target. While their tally against Orlando was well below that mark, they still peppered their opponent's goal. Shortly after the half-hour, Wondolowski made it 3-0 with his 157th goal in MLS. And that's how it finished as San Jose moved into the top 4 in the Western Conference.
Two teams who have their eyes fixed on a playoff position in the West. Real Salt Lake were in the top 7, exactly where the Portland Timbers want to be, but the difference between the pair is marginal. Diego Valeri scored the winner when they last met almost 4 months ago, and the Argentinian topped up his tally with his 8th of the season to put the Timbers ahead early on and further cement his love affair with the home supporters. But Valeri is a provider as much as he is a predator. His cleverly disguised ball for Brian Fernandez had RSL goalkeeper Nick Rimando running in all directions inside his own 6-yard box. The desperation to hold on to their priceless lead threatened to be Portland's undoing in stoppage time. A penalty box scramble eventually led to Renzo Zambrano's untidy tackle, but his decision to place his hands on the referee was a far more foolish one. A final chance for Albert Ruznak from the free kick that followed, but Steve Clark's save and subsequent celebrations told their own story about the significance of the points to Portland.
FC Dallas still had realistic ambitions of making the cut in the playoffs, unlike their struggling opponents, FC Cincinnati. As close shaves go, Emmanuel Ledesma's 9th-minute shot gave Dallas an early scare. But their response was immediate. 3 minutes later, Ryan Hollingshead scored his 3rd goal in 5 MLS appearances to put the home team in front. Michael Barrios was on target in Dallas's emphatic Texas Derby win over Houston the previous week. 4 minutes into the second half, he struck again to make it 2-0 to Dallas. Barrios quickly switched roles. Within 2 minutes, he turned provider for Zdeněk Ondrášek, who tucked home his 4th goal in his last 3 appearances for Dallas. Shortly after the hour mark, SC Cincinnati were offered a glimmer of hope when former Dallas forward Roland Lamar was brought down by Reggie Cannon. The defender catching Lamar's trailing leg just as he entered the penalty area. Ledesma made no mistake from the spot to reduce the deficit to 2. Then came a reduction in personnel for the visitors. Ledesma's foul on Paxton Pomykal warranted nothing more than a yellow card, but it was what took place off the ball and behind referee Guido Gonzalez's back which caught the attention of the video assistant referee. Kekuta Mane inexplicably shoving Brian Acosta in the face. A straight red card for the Cincinnati forward, whose actions effectively ended his team's hopes of mounting a comeback.
The mood music has changed quite significantly at Sporting Kansas City of late. A chance to make it 3 straight wins against a Houston Dynamo team that hadn't even had one to celebrate since the back end of July. The form pointed to an obvious outcome. Johnny Russell's 12th minute header only served as confirmation of the stark differences between the two sides at present. A second nearly followed. Russell again at the centre of an incisive move, which Daniel Shalhoub really should have finished off. The Dynamo's weapon was the pace of Albert Elise. He ate up the ground on Graham Smith to reach what looked like a lost cause, but the defender had his goalkeeper Tim Melia to thank for a smart save. Elise was at it again in the second half. His charging run this time came with an end product, as Christian Ramirez bore the impact of a collision with the post to score. But the pain wasn't worth a point. Elise was guilty of moving slightly too soon at the start of the move, with Houston still waiting for a win under interim boss Davy Arnaud.
At the top of the East was a familiar name. MLS Cup holders and newly crowned US Open Cup champions, Atlanta United.
Martinez! He's done it again! He can't stop, and he won't stop!
Level on points, though, were their hosts and one of the season's surprise packages, the Philadelphia Union.
The cut inside, Casillo, goal! There's the magic!
Calling this one, Chris Wise.
This might come the way of Fabian, and he's hit the crossbar. They've had a really good start, the Union. That is the closest either of these teams have come. They are pressing and probing. Shabilko. Medunyan in, Shabilko, Fabian, and Shabilko scores! Neat move, Philadelphia in front, but it is going to be subject to a video review. And I don't think the goal is going to stand because Fabian was in an offside position. The decision, disallow goal. Cannot be too surprised with that. Joseph Martinez. Oh, pity Martinez. And back to Joseph Martinez. That is sensational, and that is a wonderful Atlanta goal. And yet another for Joseph Martinez. 13 games in a row in MLS, extending his own sensational record. Good work by Elliott to win it back. Here is Medunyan in. That's a clever ball for Aronson, and there is no flag, and Aronson equalises. Didn't the youngster take it well? That is his second goal in as many games. And now twice this season, he has scored against the MLS Cup champions. Oh, Blake and Elliott have made a right mess of this, and Martinez cannot take advantage. And you would fully have expected him to. Complete miscommunication between defender and goalkeeper. And Martinez misses. Sergio Santos. Kasper Shabilko! Might just have won it, you know. One chalked off in the first half, but this one counts. It's an enormous goal for the Union. Getting ragged now, here's Elsinio. 4 Philadelphia players forward, Shabilko, and Santos finishes it off. Showing their strength now as potential champions. Philadelphia 3-1 up against Atlanta. That was clinical.
When you asked how good we were, I said I'd circle the Atlanta and the LAFC game to tell us, because those are the 2 best teams. New York City as well, so we have them coming in, and then we'll see what we're all about. But as far as the first big test, we get an A+.
Just behind Philadelphia and Atlanta in the east were NYCFC, who travelled to Vancouver, the club bottom of the Western Conference. Aber has been a revelation for NYCFC since his arrival last March. 10 minutes in, he gave the visitors the lead with his 14th goal in 20 MLS appearances. But his night was cut short when a thigh injury forced him off 11 minutes later. Not to worry, his replacement, new signing Gary Mackay-Steven, was on hand to score his first goal for the club on what was his 29th birthday. It wasn't long before the Whitecaps were celebrating themselves. Tosain Ricketts brought down by Sean Johnson inside the NYCFC area. However, after a video review, referee Marcos de Oliveira reversed his decision to award a penalty. Frustration for Vancouver coach Marc dos Santos. His mood was lifted midway through the second half when Jordi Reyna slammed home his 3rd goal in 4 MLS games to make it 2-1. Any hopes of drawing level were dashed, though, when Alexandru Mitrița confirmed NYCFC's place in the playoffs, in turn ending Vancouver's chances of making the postseason.
The first game in charge for the Colorado Rapids boss Robin Fraser was at the New York Red Bulls, a club where he used to be an assistant coach. And also returning, but for a final time, was New Jersey-born Tim Howard, who's retiring at the end of the season. The 40-year-old goalkeeper was beaten inside 13 minutes, but thankfully for Howard, Danny Wilson's defensive work on Bradley Wright Phillips was good enough to divert the ball onto the post. The Red Bulls were in the market for a much-needed win after they were beaten by their city rivals last time out. But ready to kick a team while they were down was Jonathan Lewis, a former NYCFC player, while Wright Phillips was still down at the other end of the pitch. The hosts reset and really should have levelled when Tim Parker passed up a glorious chance to score his first goal in 11 months. So far, so good for Fraser on his touchline debut, and the Rapids coach would have been particularly impressed with his team's determination to hold on to their eye-catching advantage, epitomised by Sam Vine's terrific block. The Red Bulls were stretching themselves to capacity in search of a much-needed equaliser, and the visitors had noted the gaps. Another swift counter-attack gave Cole Bassett an opening to put the game to bed, but Luis Robles' save maintained the belief of a possible point. Legs and minds were tiring though, and Colorado knew it. Another sharp move left the hosts exposed, but Robles was again the barrier to deny Diego Rubio. But the game would end as it began. Lewis, with his second goal of the evening, finished the Red Bulls off. Howard had his clean sheet, and Fraser had his win. First weeks in the job don't come much better than this.
Montreal's midweek win over Vancouver had taken the Impact into the playoff places in the Eastern Conference and only 2 points behind opponents DC United. But they fell behind to the team from the capital when new signing Ola Kamara pounced after 20 minutes. It was his 50th goal in Major League Soccer. DC had won only once in their previous 7 games and were without the suspended Wayne Rooney. Neither had a bearing on proceedings here, as the black and red quickly added a second goal through Paul Arriola. By the 32nd minute, DC United were 3-0 up, thanks to a second on the night from Kamara, who made it 3 goals in his last 3 appearances since his return to MLS. Montreal had no fewer than 24 shots during the course of the game, but their pathway to goal was continually blocked by the DC defence. Bojan unable to fully test goalkeeper Bill Hamid. When the Spaniard did bypass the DC back line, he was unable to force Hamid into a save. A big win for the visitors as they arrested a 3-game losing streak.
Greg Vanney's Toronto FC had moved briefly above the playoff line for the first time in over 3.5 months last weekend, and a victory at the New England Revolution would have been a statement of intent to their fellow contenders. Richie Laryea showed off his extreme acceleration just after the half hour, but having created the opening, he became focused on scoring it too. Finish it was the understandable response from his coach. The Revs began the evening just a point above their opponents in the East. Their best move of the game fell Carlos Hill's way. But Toronto was seemingly going to leave Gillette Stadium with a big 3 points when Nicolas Benazet nodded in his first MLS goal with 16 minutes to go. The right number on his back, but the Ronaldo tribute act needs some work. But New England were indebted to their own number 7, Gustavo Bo, with 7 minutes to go. Nothing fancy about his 6th goal in 8 games, though. Just a moment that Quentin Westberg would rather forget.
To our final game, where time was running out for the Columbus Crew and the Chicago Fire in their quests to make the postseason shake-up. Anything other than a win would make Columbus's task particularly difficult, so when Pedro Santos' solo run ended with a fine goal midway through the first half, the optimism around Mafre Stadium heightened. Chicago's profligacy in front of goal hindered their cause. Nicolas Gaitan squandered one of the Fire's better chances. They also found the Columbus goalkeeper, Aloy Room, in good form. Just ask Chicago substitute Michael Azira, who, despite his best efforts, couldn't find a way through. But as the game moved into the 4th minute of added time, the Fire's persistence finally paid off. An unmarked Przemysław Frankowski kept his cool to equalise. There was time for Columbus to mount one last assault on the Chicago goal, but substitutes Yunus Mokhtar and David Guzman were thwarted by Kenneth Kronholm. An opportunity lost by Crew SC, whose playoff hopes are fading fast.
While that draw did neither Columbus or Chicago many favours in the East, Philadelphia and NYCFC have now guaranteed their playoff places. FC Cincinnati, though, became the first team this season to be eliminated from contention.
In the West, Vancouver's playoff hopes are also officially over, but it couldn't be tighter in the race for the remaining 6 places. The Galaxy slipped to 7th after their defeat to the Sounders, who themselves are now up to 2nd.
You guys got 35 seconds. You're on the clock.
We leave you with the Eastern Table toppers, Philadelphia.
I have still goosebumps. What a support. We were losing 1-0 and they were supporting us the whole game.
Casper, cross, Santos, no! 3-1, Union! Game over. Union are in first place.
This copyrighted telecast of Major League Soccer may not be retransmitted, reproduced, or rebroadcast without the express written consent of Major League Soccer.